And welcome back to the Off the Clock Show with Sean Gervais from OrbisX, the only CRM that takes over the detailing industry, the only one you need. And Marty, Mr. Marshall Hill from the Pints and Polishing Podcast, as well as Hyper Clean Car Care Products. That's right. Yes, sir. The best ceramic coating that's out there. If you're looking for some upsells, that's where you got to go. So what are we sipping on in that massive mug?
Oh, it's just because, I was waiting for you to get on and I just, just couldn't let my drink get watery from the ice.
Man, yeah. I hope it's mostly ice. You're going to be white girl wasted.
I'll be white girl wasted. No, I'm more on didn't I have this last week? I can't remember that pirate rum.
You told me about it last week. I don't think you had cracked it open. Maybe you
hadn't cracked it open yet. Yeah, cracked it open. As you can tell.
So,
as you can tell,
it's cracked open. Yeah, me too. Oh,
this one. Appleton. Yep. Appleton has that unique bottle.
Yeah,
you can tell it's Appleton by the bottle. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's got that Coke bottle shape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. So this is pirate, whatever they want to say, pirate rum. It's definitely, like I said, I used to drink it a lot, and it's one of my top ones. I'm just going to keep grabbing different rums, keep playing. Why not?
And trying out different ones. Yeah. It's fun sometimes. Yeah. You got
to
try it
that with whiskey. Used to do it with all kinds of stuff. So it's like, okay. Rum, nice, I think whiskey, you have a lot more alternative. Like rum, rum just is rum. Like, you could taste the quality in the rum, but between spiced rum and regular rum, that's about the only differences. Like, I can't really tell a huge difference between regular rum that's $20 and regular rum that's $60. Like,
yeah, I know what you mean, and I like to tell myself at times I can, but I can't.
I think the only thing I can tell is like the sugariness of the 20.
Yeah,
like you can't tell a difference. Like Captain does have some,
definitely not in the way you can with whiskey. 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah, whiskey also will be very much impacted by where it's made. Where it's distilled, everything versus rum, it's kind of the same. One thing I will say though is I was thrown off rum for a while because I used to live near a rum factory, and oh my god, the smell, it's atrocious. All the sugar, like so bad, bad. Like my daughter went to school near a rum factory. That sounds terrible, but it was in the Caribbean. Everything was acceptable.
Cane sugar.
Yeah. And it just, the smell was so bad. I don't know what it is in the process that they do, whatever, but the remnants, man. I mean, if you're far away from the factory, no problem, but it smelled putrid.
Sure, it wasn't like a Breaking Bad, like set up and they were just, Hermano's chicken, they're cleaning some sheets and stuff in the factory.
We're pretty close to South America. So, I mean, it's possible. That might have been where they were refining some things. I have no idea, but based on that country's economy, I don't think so. But who knows? Yeah, but this one's not too bad. The 12-year, I don't like the other Appletons, to be honest. Like the regular ones, they just burn a little too much. This one is super smooth. It's like you're drinking Kool-Aid or something. It's really nice. But me, I have a bottle of whiskey. I'm gonna send you one. It's a Canadian one, but it's actually amazing. It's called Grey Owl.
Actually, as opposed to most Canadians, stuff isn't amazing. Is that what you mean?
Oh, no.
I'm listening. It's your words, not mine. I don't know.
Listen, there's only 3 great things in Canada right now. Okay, that whiskey, OrbisX, and maple syrup. That's it. That's the short list. Everything else I can't vouch for. We used to have a nice manufacturing thing for automobiles, and that's all gone to shit now. So I don't really know what's happening.
Hey, speaking of amazing, have you had picanha again yet, or no? You still out on picanha?
No, not yet.
Still not.
No, but you know what? My family's been on this. I don't know, this like fajita and tacos train. So we've been eating like almost daily. But then I've been making other dishes as well, like Mexican dishes, and some of them are so good. But so we've been off kind of the steak side of things for a little bit. But it might be time we got to venture back out. I think part of it was the depression that set in when I couldn't find it anymore. So that was definitely. How about you? I know you definitely have, for sure.
Oh no, we actually this coming weekend, I've requested it. It's it's the big 4-5 this weekend. So woohoo, celebrate. Yes. And I was like, I think I want some picanha this weekend, grill out, spend a little week, it's the weather starting.
That's like a Brazilian tradition. You have to celebrate almost everything with,
Absolutely.
Hey, we
But
woke
this
up again.
past weekend, no,
Done.
I've been for some reason, I've been watching a lot more cooking videos online.
Okay.
Sam, the cooking guy on YouTube. I can't stop it. He's very entertaining. I really like him. I started watching a lot more stuff about steak and the way people cook steak. So it was like, okay, I'm in. And I started grabbing more ways of, and I grabbed a New York strip and we tried, what did we try the other day? What they call that? It's a 5 minute sear on cast iron.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you leave it all on one side, pan at, I think my pan was at like 470, 5 minutes on one side and then 5 minutes on the other. Keep the, check the temperature, get at that 140 mark somewhere.
Has to be cast iron though. Has to
be cast
because
iron.
that'll cook all the way through. Yeah.
And I've never never have done steak on cast iron. Like it was strange for me. I've done fajita, right? Fajita steak or something, or like, you mentioned, Mexican food. I'll do a torta. Love making tortas.
Yeah.
You can cook that on, I just have never done a full steak on cast iron. It was like, okay. I mean, that flavor was definitely different. It was definitely, yeah, it was unique.
Jeez. Yeah. Me, I only use cast iron. Absolutely. But it's funny. You mentioned watching the videos. I always found that funny is that the one thing I've talked to some detailers before and they mentioned, to mix this in with cooking, they've mentioned oh, I need some help marketing or what kind of content should I put out there? And I always said the best thing you can do is just kind of show your process of what you do. It helps instill trust in the customer, so on and so forth. And they've been, oh yeah, but I'm worried that what if they just go order the product and do it themselves? But like, do you know one restaurant out there or some chef that's worried that if he teaches people how to cook, they're going to stop going to restaurants? It just doesn't happen, So why do we have this idea in our heads that like we're sort of special in that way that, if people learn our secrets, they're not gonna,
Well, but that's an industry thing, right? You can start at this. I love that conversation. I love that idea. And I think it starts at that manufacturing or just chemical company basis. How many of them have the secret sauce that's going to be the game changer?
Yeah. It's like all of them.
Every single one of them. Every one of them. So then what does every detailer have? Oh, well, they're the ones now that they buy from this person. They've got the secret sauce. So then they create these barriers around everybody that people can't know because they have it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's crazy to me. Like not detailing, but automotive related. We had a similar situation when we first started tinting. Now we're using 3M Suntech primarily for our stuff, and our guys love it. Customers love it. But before that, we were using another brand, starts with an X. Don't need to mention names. But anyway, we were doing so many tints, and we were just crushing it in the market. There was a guy just down the road from us that called the distributor in Montreal, and he said, "Hey, these guys are installing garbage, jobs. Their customers are unhappy and all this." And obviously that wasn't the case, or else we wouldn't have kept doing jobs. He was just threatened. Anyway, the guy said, no problem, I'll call him. So he calls us and he says, "Yeah, we're not shipping to you guys anymore. We're just shutting your account down." He said, "That's it." And it was right before we had a super busy day and we were waiting on a shipment. So we had to scramble, find a new supplier. We got our stuff, got it sorted out. But this guy was so threatened because that was his secret sauce for his business, was that he had this territory and no one else could, and the unfortunate thing for him, because now when we're too busy, sometimes we subcontract work to him and he basically like does some work for us on the side because his business went to shit because his secret sauce didn't matter. It didn't matter at all, because all it took was a company that knew what they were doing, like ours, that came in, was able to produce the quality work the customer wanted. The secret sauce wasn't necessarily the film. That was just a small component of it, So these things always fascinate me as well. That people they rely so heavily on that protection that well, if I'm the only one with the secret sauce, then my business will be around forever. It's like until someone else gets a different secret sauce, then sorry. but yeah, that's fascinating. So awesome. Yeah, I watch a lot of cooking shows too. Lots of stuff. We don't eat out very much. We'll go out to restaurants, but we don't do the takeout and stuff like that very often. It's always home cooked meals. But we get adventurous. We follow a lot of people that they cook things, different countries, strange things, normal things, if that's could be a term. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. It's fascinating, man. There's so much food out there, and the way you can prepare it That's the interesting thing to me, but great activity with the family too. Get the kids
Yeah,
involved.
and that's what I think I'm interested in doing more of the weekends is like starting to experiment together. Fuck, for almost a year, I wasn't even allowed in the kitchen, right? Like
No shit.
I was kicked out of the kitchen. It's like, okay, finally I can get back in. Like, let's have some fun, start making some stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting earlier, and this is I told you, and this is I listen, I think everybody should do it, is pull out Instagram and go to just your feed. And I
Yeah.
want you to scroll really fast through your feed, but you got to click it to where you can hear the volume if somebody is playing music or has a how to and they're explaining something or has their voice mentioned, because you just said a second ago, like, people should more explain their process. This is what we say too. Here's
Yeah.
what I want people to do is go through and just scroll real fast, right? And I want you to listen and take you're not gonna be able to write it down. Just try and get some type of mental idea of how many of these, as I scroll, have music or words or something, or it's a still photo or no type of anything. And when you
Yeah.
did it, you found what percentage?
So when I first did it, it was about 50%. And
Yeah,
then
it's about 50%. So inside of that 50%, you go to the ones that have the video, right? So,
yeah.
well, 50% of your feed was some that did and some that didn't. But of the ones that had the music,
Yeah.
how many of those were detailers and how many of those were either ads or suggestions or something other than detailers?
Yeah, so that was also about 50%, but I'd say it was more 60-40. It was about 60%, and it's probably the algorithm from stuff that I watch and listen to, but 60% were things just in my feed, like ads and everything else. And then 40% were detailing related. So some pages I follow or other things. But what it was more of the detailers were actually just still images. So there was no
Bingo.
voice, no music, no nothing. It's
Bingo.
just
And we all know, listen, there's no doubt that you can look through if you want to do any research, just go research. Has Instagram changed? Let's just start at that core basics. And you go, yeah, it definitely has changed away from images into videos. That's why you got reels. That's why you got all this other, right? TikTok, you got, now YouTube has gone that way, right? You cannot deny it. But then you got to ask yourself, am I the person that is still doing what was? And I haven't
we're doing
adapted
what is.
to what is.
Yeah, that's true.
Am I still the one that's doing what was? Haven't adapted to what is, because when I did it and I looked through, man, very few of our detailers were doing videos. The mass majority of them are still on Instagram taking photos.
Yeah.
And I get it. We still post photos, right?
Yeah.
But we also have reels that get posted every day too.
It's true, 100%.
We're actually about to put our clutch in and change again.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're going to see an
You have to.
extremely limited amount of photos because there's no
And
reason.
you're going to see a huge difference in the engagement. 100%.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why YouTube is so successful as it is. You know what I mean? It's like in terms of internet traffic, man, they hold a lot of it. And the reason is because that's what people are looking for. And the YouTube Shorts, I think, was one of the best things YouTube has done, in a long time. They've done some really cool like little features, stuff like that. But one of the biggest changes for their business was the Shorts, 100%.
Now we're too late. If you haven't switched over, you're too late to have that bubble where you can put out anything and it's gonna get views. Now you've got to really work on your videos, and you got to work on whether you do some ASMR, whether you do some how-tos, or you put your face on there, you do a voiceover, do you add music, you use the music on the platform. There's a lot of things to still continue to be going through, but I sent it to you earlier because it was just something I did. Like I just randomly was just scrolling really fast, and then it started to click to me, and I'm like, okay, that's something some people need to hear. If they're still doing the old way, then they're missing out on what's changed.
100%. There's a member in OrbisX, actually. He does a really good job of this, and he started way before this was like the way things were trending. And I think he just kind of saw that's how social media was going. But Rolly, this great guy, he's in the US, southern US. He does primarily ceramic coating, but he does do detailing as well, things like that. But what I found cool with they're really engaging. He'll pose a lot of questions, but they're not just questions for his customers, they're questions for other detailers or anything. He's just trying to build a community. Hey, a community. He's trying to build a community in general and get that engagement. And he'll and he'll do things in stages. So he'll show some cars that he's about to work on that day, and he'll say, here's a few cars, here's what they're in for, this is what I'm looking to do. This is what the customers asked for. Here's what I recommended. And it's a very laid back approach. He explains step by step what, the plan is to do. And then he says, do you think this is the right thing to do for this car? Do you think we're doing too much, too little? We'll see in a minute, and then the next video comes out, a few hours later, and he'll say, okay, so we started to do this on this car. I realized halfway through, he actually didn't need that much correction. So we're going to stop right now. I'm going to circle back with the customer, let him know, and then we're going to, move on to step 2. So he kind of just builds this whole storyline of the things that he's doing. But his biggest thing, I think, is the quality of his content. It's not too eye catchy. There's not a bunch of shit flashing all over the screen. It's just him showing the work, but then he's describing it, and he comes across very honest and transparent, because he'll say, we were going to do this, the customer asked for it, but he honestly doesn't need it, and then he'll at that moment ask for a poll, like, what do you think? Yes or no, get some people engaged. But then he'll circle back with the customer, and he walks you through the whole sales process that he does with the customer. And I always thought, like me, I'm too far to go see him to get my car detailed. But if I lived there, saw that video, I would be like, holy shit, like, this guy, not only does he come across like he knows what he's talking about, but he's also very transparent and honest that, this customer might not need that, even though I could get a little more money from it. He doesn't need it. So we're not trying to push things they don't need and stuff. So I found the way he's done that, he built up this community of people that his customers are now engaging with. Jesus, Marty, you're going to get me hammered.
Well, I'm not the one saying it.
But yeah. Yeah, the C word. But
blame me for being drunk and having too many tips. I'll tell you, that's what it goes.
Listen, see, today I'm going to refrain from all the tips, because I got called out by Randy. Beer Randy called me out for the occasional tip. But yeah, so long story short, I think that putting out content, you definitely have to go the video route. Absolutely. You got to engage people. You got to catch their attention. The vocals, it triggers something in your brain, cause you to stop and pay attention. Number one, but number two is the quality. I'm glad you touched on that, because a lot of people think they just have to put out anything. And you're right, that bubble, that ship sailed. Like, it's that bubble burst. Now you have to really put some thought behind what kind of content you're going to do. And if you're not sure where to get started, a good place, okay, this is the first tip, sure. A good place to start is take a look at some other detailers at what they're putting out, and whether it's good or bad, it's going to give you some inspiration. You're either going to see the faults and things they're doing and say, I could do that better this way, or you're going to see what seems to be working. But when you look at it, pay attention to certain things, like the number of comments they get, pay attention to the number of hearts and so on and so forth, and take a look at these kinds of things, because that's going to be a good metric for you, whether or not the audience is responding well to that content. And that's a good way to do your research, I would say.
Randy also made a photo of some bratwurst and stuff inside of the Hyperclean Specialist group, and he tagged and commented about a post an episode you and I had done about the top 100. And he's like, this is top 100.
Top 100, and
I'm glad you explained all that, because that was unique. It was like, okay, good job, Randy, nicely done. Top 100.
Absolutely. And I like that, where someone, sees an episode and they actually remember it and they see it in action in the real world. And they're like, oh shit, like, this is legit. This is a real thing. Because that happens. There's things out there that say, top 100 or top 20 in the city, but top 20 of what? Like, who's giving out these awards? And so you could put anything, and it's like even this, I'm looking at, this bottle here. It says rare casks, right? It's obviously something. Yeah, like, you see that and you're like, ooh, this must be special. You know what I mean? But like, rare casks, like where's the proof? Who's judging
What's
the
level of rareness?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what is it? Like, what's the rareness meaning? They had like one left at the place, and so now it's rare. Like, who's judging that? They just made that up. Obviously, it's not judged by the rare cask committee. You know what I mean? So it's, but these kinds of things, you put them into practice.
They're in the top 100 of rare.
Top 100 are rare. That's it. Yeah. It's oh man. Well done, Randy. That was good catching that
Hey,
one
so
too.
I had some people ask some questions about, because as more and more there becomes crossover between people inside of the OrbisX group, inside the HyperClean specialist group, people listen to this episode, people listen to ours. Some people starting to question about what will be the payment difference for like OrbisX versus if I'm traditionally like a PayPal or Venmo type of person. And so I wanted to ask you that, because if anybody that is in PayPal, Venmo and stuff, you've probably, from the people that have sent it to me, you've probably seen what they have seen, which is some people are getting kind of invaded with privacy of people wanting a lot of information. I had a guy said that they asked for his driver's license.
Jeez.
Like PayPal. Like,
wow.
You already have a social security card. Now you want to,
you want
to, they were trying to verify his business to make sure what he was doing. I had more people, especially as I guess there's more and more of that concern of the $600 that the government, I know this is different than up there in Canada, but for here, as a contractor, you can only make $599.99. And at $600, then one contractor to a company, that gets reported, and it is a tax. It's taxed to the contractor.
Gotcha. Yeah.
For the $600. And before Venmo, PayPal, a bunch of these were that you could just exchange the money back and forth, no issue. Then there was suddenly this moment of, oh, wait, the government now wants involved. Now there's a little gray area and people aren't sure. Either way, they're starting to become some of these social sharing of money back and forth, like a little bit of a risk. Yeah, what's the OrbisX platform for moving money back and forth?
Yeah, sure. So you just send it directly to me at Sean at, no, I'm just kidding.
Phone number is
yeah, exactly. And so it's so we integrate with the big boys, of course, Stripe and Square being the major elephants in the room. And then we are working on some integrations with other payment providers. Like we have CPUS in there now, but then we're working on Clover and a few others. But those are all traditional financial institutions in a way. They're, it's a more of a common banking experience as if you signed up with like, Moneris or these other ones. And they're going to need, a lot of your information at times. Stripe is, and Square, they're a lot more simplistic in the information that they need. But it also depends on where you are. It'll vary based on region. But then we've also signed our partnership with Wise Tax, so we offer financing as well. So that one you get paid instantly, works the same in terms of fees. It's the same as Stripe, and so you're paying the same fees, but you get to offer your customer financing. So that might be a workaround for that $600 amount, where if they're paying in installments, I don't even know how that would work. But when it comes to these Venmo and things like that, there are options to have your offline payment instructions sent along with an invoice for Venmo, things like that. But definitely, I think those kind of sites, you're going to see a lot more of that, where they move towards a similar type of banking experience. They all started out a certain way. The amounts were low. They weren't on the government's radar. But as those things are popping up, that's where those things are I think going to become more commonplace, especially PayPal, things like that. There's not just a $600 amount, but they have, anti-money laundering laws. So they want to know what kind of money is going where and for what purpose, things like that. But really, it's one of those things where fees are really difficult to avoid once you get your business established. And so what you're better off to do is find a payment provider that can give you that support and integrates with your favorite CRM like OrbisX. And that way you can run your business, and the fees just get, it's a write-off at the end of the year because you're paying banking fees as part of this. So it's going to be just deducted from your income. But really, I think the biggest people that'll be impacted by these type of changes are the people in the kind of gray zone. I work out of my home garage. I maybe don't declare everything, things like that. And while that, can have benefits up front today, you're also missing out on a lot of tax incentives that are actually out there if you did, officially formalize your business in the right way. So But there's benefits to both, but all those options are available in OrbisX, and what you choose to do with your finances is up to you. But I definitely recommend people going towards, some of the other payment options, because it does reduce a lot of the friction. And we've talked about friction with sales transactions before. So, Venmo can be frictionless in a lot of cases, but in other cases, it can create friction in your business as well. If customers are unhappy or things like that, it becomes more of a process. But also just your professional outlook to potential customers. Like when you can slap that Visa sticker on your window, for example, there's a different kind of prestige that does come with it for a lot of customers. They have that security knowing, oh, okay, I'm paying with, I'm going to tap a terminal and the payment goes through. And so there's some security that comes with that, and that helps you justify higher price points and higher ticket sales often. So
yeah,
that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Makes sense. It's solution, right? I mean, you and I are always big on solutions. It seems to be the
100%.
thing is, listen, I mean, it's been built into my name since I kind of started. I was always like, I got to find the solution for people, right? The original was L&M Solutions, right? That was the original founding company that I did in 2010. So it's always been about solutions. And one of the solutions, well, was going to be something that you and I begin to start talking about more and more over the next weeks, right? Like and today though, especially it's about the solution of inventory management. One problem that a lot of detailers have, and I mean a lot, and we joked about it, when we talked about it internally is, so many guys will just go grab their gallon container. They'll just kind of shake it and see where I'm at. Right? Like, oh, it looks like I'm about I got a little bit. Oh, maybe I should be about ordering, or they'll just go grab their bottle of, Uno Dos or Trey. They'll look at it and they'll just go, oh, well, I got enough for this car. Well, if I get another one, I better make sure to get some more product on the way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's risky.
Very risky. And if anything, what the pandemic should have shown a lot of these business owners is that, when supply chains get messed up for whatever reason, that can be a problem.
UPS, let's just go with UPS.
Yeah. Like you're putting your business, your livelihood in the hands of a lot of other people. And that definitely is risky. And that's where, you don't want to keep too much inventory on hand, but at the same time, you're not a grocery store. We're talking about non-perishable goods. Right. So these aren't things that are going to spoil unless I was asking you some questions earlier about once you crack that top, if you open up a bottle of Uno.
Yeah. So that is a concern, right? Because some people would go, hey, I don't want to order too much because I don't want it to sit too long. Right. Like, for instance, you've got what, 10, I think was the order was
10 of each, 10
of
Uno,
each,
10
right?
Dos, and 10 Trace. Yeah.
So once somebody opens it, how long is it going to last? And here's the suggestion that I had, which is what I say to everybody, right? Like, of course, once oxygen enters the bottle, you're going to start that chemical reaction that happens. For those of us who can go back, and if we can remember elementary school, there was a class that we all took called science class.
Yep.
And you probably will remember these things that are inside of our world called neutrons. You got protons, you got neutrons, you got atoms, you got all those cool little things, right? Those guys start working and having reactions with each other, and they start going, and it creates a chemical reaction, a chain reaction, and away they go, right? If you want to increase their reaction speed, what do? You increase the temperature.
Yeah.
So, Sean, if you want to crack open a bottle of Trey and you use half of it on a little Fiat, but your next car's not for a couple weeks of Trey, and you got plenty of Unos coming in and Dos, but your next Trey's not for 2 or 3 weeks. Maybe I should slow down that chemical reaction by cooling it off. So where's a great place to go put my coating after I've opened it?
Throw it in the fridge, or if you're here, just throw it outside.
Oh, Canada.
Yeah. Land of the frozen.
Yeah. So you got to keep it cool. So dark and cool. The fridge is perfect spot for this.
Beautiful. Yeah. And that's where, as you mentioned, most shops still have a little, bar fridge somewhere, for the staff, or maybe something for drinks for customers, things like that.
Yep.
Well, you probably don't want to put this by where the customers are. They'll walk away with it.
Yeah.
But
That's our high volume shops, man. That's what they do. You know,
yeah,
they're
and
regularly
that's
ordering
where
those 10 at a time. They're regularly going every couple months and
yeah,
just keep it coming back through. But then they keep a back stock. So they always know they have it and they always keep them in the fridge. Like,
absolutely. And that's what I was trying to work out today is that I was like, okay, so we've been typically going through the 30 mLs, and I was like, okay, I have a choice though, 30 ml, 50 or the 100, but that's why I was asking. I was like, like what's the best thing we could do for this? Because the vehicle sizes are going to differ. Sometimes we might do 2 coats, sometimes we just do 1, who knows? But if we do have some remainder over, what do I do with it? And that's where the fridge, perfect solution.
yeah.
But it does all start though with having that inventory so that we can produce and not waiting until, oh, I'm going to wait. I don't need to order right now because I don't need to have it on hand. It's just sitting there. But for me, I look at it like, okay, so let's say I get 100 ml of Uno, for example, right? I'm trying to remember what it was when I saw it on the site today. I was going through a lot of different pricing, but I think there was one I was
Oh,
looking at that
what's
was
100
119.
mil of it? Is it
Yeah,
$64 or something like that?
yeah. So what was I looking at? That was 119. That was the trace, but the 50 ml. So
Yeah.
yeah. So let's say okay, so I got 100 ml of the Uno, for example, right?
Hmm.
But
100
I
mil
don't
of
want to.
trays, $200 if you want to go with something simple.
Yeah. That 199. Beautiful. There we go. Thank
Oh,
you. And so
I knew
yeah,
that's,
yeah,
I
because
thought that's where you were trying to go to. So,
yeah, I was, yeah, because I was looking at the 50 ml, but it was 119, I think it was something
yeah.
like that. Is that right? I think so.
Yeah. So
My memory's
the
still good.
simplest product pricing, if you want to do something like 100 mil of tray is going to be 200
Boom.
bucks.
There we go. $200. Beautiful. So you don't want to wait until last minute you need it, and then you have to factor in shipping time and then how much you're going to need, stuff like that. But then at the same time, it doesn't cost very much for these things. And so I'm not looking at it like, oh, I've got $200 sitting on the shelf. No, I'm looking at it like, okay, I've got like $1,200 sitting on the shelf because what I'm going to turn that into, right? So that actually excites me. That's not a thing
Yeah.
that upsets me that, oh, I've got $200 sitting on the shelf. No. I've got $1,200 sitting on the shelf that's waiting to just be applied to a car.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that because I think there is a lot of people that go, well, I'm tying up my money, right? I don't know. And then listen, I've had people I've talked to, and
Same person will buy Bitcoin.
this is really where it scares me for some people
Mhm.
is they go, well, what if I can't sell another one? And I just go, wow, oof,
Yikes.
that's a
Mm,
tough place to be in, isn't it? If
it
you
is.
buy a product only to use one time and you're not sure if you're going to be able to sell another one,
Uh, just then I don't think you should be offering ceramic
I
coatings
don't think you should be in
yet.
business.
Yet. I think you should
You shouldn't even be in
refine your sales
business.
skills and yeah,
If
because
you
that
don't have the mental mindset to be able to say, hey, I can buy this and then flip it to make something out of it,
yeah,
should you be
especially
in
at that
business?
price point too.
Yeah.
Like to be honest, like I mean, like most businesses have,
That's a key point of
thousands,
business,
hundreds
isn't
of
it? You
thousands.
buy something and then make money off of it, whether it's service
Yep.
or flip the actual products that like, ooh,
100%. But even if it's service, every service does need, for the most part, some products of some kind, right?
yeah.
Behind it. So there's always some sort of inventory.
Yeah,
Like,
that's my
well,
point, right? Like you
yeah, like
should be able
your
to do
wife's doing
both.
cleaning right now, right?
Yeah.
Your wife's got tons of inventory of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she needs it to do the cleaning. That's what
Yes.
happens. And then she's also going to need a vehicle and all these things. All of these things are part of the inventory, because they're perishable to some degree, like when they get used up.
But it's hard. It is. It's hard for
Can
detailers
be.
for some reason. It is hard, and they go to shake their bottle, and they're okay. Maybe I should get it right. So bad system. Let's just go ahead and
Yeah.
say that there's got to be a better way to manage our inventory.
100%. And that's where one of the key things, it was built into OrbisX since the beginning, was the inventory side, because OrbisX was built for business development and growth as well as managing operations, whereas a lot of the other CRMs were more just built for data management. That's really what their focus was. We built a nice, cool UI that looks great, but doesn't really do much. And that's where OrbisX was built around tools that would actually be useful for your business. And one of the key components was inventory. Like you look on any balance sheet for any real business, and one of the line items there is inventory, assets. Those are things that your business needs to have to produce more revenue. You have to have those things. And so if you don't know what you have on hand at any moment, which in OrbisX you can easily do, you can see exactly to the dollar how much you have, even if you're putting in things like how many ounces of this you have, how many milliliters of that you have. You can literally see exactly what you have on hand at any moment. But then with each one as well, with the artificial intelligence, it'll show you a big circle. If it's green, you're good to go. But then if it's yellow, it's starting to get low. And then if it's red, now you're in danger territory where you need to reorder. And the system will automatically compile a list of stuff you have to reorder, send it to you. But it'll also be capable of sending a purchase order directly to your vendor as well. And in the very near future, it'll be able to reorder automatically through the HyperClean store as well. So you'll be able to re-up on your ceramic coatings and so on and so forth, because having your stock on hand is part of what's going to keep you in business. It's part of what you need to sell just as much as you have to show up to work. Well, guess what? When my guys show up to work, if they show up to work and there's no uno, dos, or tres, what are they selling? What are they installing? It doesn't matter how much manpower I have. So I need them at work, but I also need the products at work. And so that means we have to have the right amount of stock on hand at any time. And so part of that comes with pre-planning. Like right now, we're putting through an order with you, not because we've run out. We're putting through an order because we're going to be running out. And how do we know that? OrbisX let me know. OrbisX said, hey, we're running low on the following. And we identified what running low is, told the AI, and it spits back the information.
And that's some of that back end computer desk job work that a lot of people who enjoy detailing don't enjoy the back end desk work and, sitting down to 100%. Make sure I've got everything and making sure I got this and making sure. Yeah. And that's where I love the solution of the AI and what you've done there at OrbisX of being able to auto compile it. Now it does take a little bit of, right? You got to do a little bit of work up front to put in some amounts and do some stuff.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
It's not like you press a button and naturally AI
it's done for you. Yeah. Because every business is different. You have to let the AI know some parameters about how you use things for sure.
But once that is done,
you're done. Yeah. We're talking about sacrificing one Sunday so every other day can be a
never
fun day.
Having to worry about inventory again, never having to go shake your stuff, never having to, we're like, it just auto compile stuff and can eventually, like we said, they might even now start sending a purchase order and it'll just auto ship then some HyperClean and whatever, right? That stuff, as you and I are working through it, it's just incredible. It's incredible that it will start to compile a list of here's some stuff that you're going to need to get ordered. Hey, you're starting to get close on this.
Yeah.
What,
imagine if you had
we talked percentages earlier. I mean, what percentage of guys are using that? Because to me, that sounds phenomenal. It sounds like it should be a 99% usage, but it's probably a 3.
Yeah.
How many guys actually do
fortunately, it's not that low, but you're close. So it's at 64.5% as of last week.
Close. 64%. I said 3.
When I mean close, because it should be 99. So anything less than 99, it might as well be 3 because everybody should be using it. Now, that being said, what I will say is this, the actual number 3% is very close for the smaller guys. So, and what I mean by that is the guys that have grown, because most people that came into OrbisX, not to say they were at the same level, but their businesses, when they were using other softwares, things like that, they were kind of plateaued a little bit. And then since coming on with OrbisX, they've experienced exponential growth. The ones that have grown the most are the ones that have taken advantage of tools like the AI inventory and things like that. There's one guy in particular, Joseph. Oh my gosh, this guy, he's actually based in Canada as well. But he took, 3-4 days, and he literally put everything in right down to, like the fluid ounce for things and stuff like that. He went really intense with it, and he was just awarded like the top business. He's a mobile guy. And for a mobile guy in Canada to make it is really difficult because of our seasonality, things.
Crazy.
And so
mobile in Canada?
I know. And he's grown to the point he's got guys on the road all over the place. And how he did that was by managing the business side. So he came from a tech background. So that's why he's blown away by OrbisX, because he understands all the intricacies of it. And he's used that technology to just spearhead this growth, this massive growth. And anyway, hats off to you, Joseph. He's crushing it. But a big part of it is he got really detailed with his, inventory, used the AI to basically produce, okay, this truck needs this one needs that. and it just compiles a list for him. He's good to go. He stays on top of it, and he's always got his guys topped up. So anyway, he just got awarded though. Can't remember exactly what the award was, but it was something with the Chamber of Commerce and stuff. But it was like the top, producing.
There's
business.
something I want guys to listen to what you just said, and it was the part of where you go, the smaller guys are still at that, let's just call it under 10%, right?
Yeah.
Smaller producers, small, whether it's mobile or shop, it doesn't matter. Small producer. If you're a small producer, how do you know if you're a small producer? Well, based off of stats, you got to first go, have I done what Sean just said?
Yeah.
If I haven't, then purely off of a stat, you are a small producer. And I want you to think of this way, right? I bought a CNG vehicle a long time ago. It really helped me here in Oklahoma as I began distribution and running across the state. However, as I got out of Oklahoma, or if we took a road trip, the infrastructure for CNG had not, and still is not developed. And actually, we went more as a country away from CNG and went into now EVs. But the problem arises still the same. Our infrastructure for EV vehicles is not ready for what could be a demand, and will never be a demand until the infrastructure is ready.
Yeah.
You will never grow. Listen to what he just said in the stats. You will never grow if you haven't started this. You need to start your infrastructure, right? Like, part of knowing if I'm small and going, okay, how do I get big? I've got to start building an infrastructure. And a lot of that infrastructure is products. It is having enough
100%.
on hand so that you can sell, so that you can push your services, so that you can do upgrades. If you don't actually begin to plan an infrastructure setting, well, it'll never happen. And
100%.
you will always be in that under 10% underperforming producer.
100%. Because imagine you have, 5 ceramic coating jobs booked, and you've got 6 bottles of ceramic coating left. Okay. So 5 of those are spoken for, but then you've got 3 details that are coming in. How can you upsell them ceramic coating? You don't even have enough supply on hand to upsell them that ceramic coating. So
if you would have done the AI, it would have already, because of the cells, it would have prompted you to say, hey, you've got these coming, but you don't have this enough. And it would have auto started for you. You wouldn't have even had to think about it.
100%. And then imagine now when you start year 2 or year 3, and you have that information now, and you can see, okay, how much inventory usage did I have last year? How many bottles of ceramic coating did I go through? Yeah. So imagine now I say, oh, throughout the year, I'm going to need, 580 bottles. So imagine I reach out to a supplier and I say, hey, listen, I'm going to need 580 bottles. I'm going to order them in this frequency throughout the year. Maybe we can work out something, or maybe, holy shit, if I'm using that many, maybe there's guys down the road that are using that many. Maybe I could become a distributor and I could now start selling to them too. So it opens up all these opportunities just by you knowing your numbers. And if you don't know your numbers, where do you go from there? And imagine at some point your knees give out and you say, oh shit, I wish I could sell my business. One of the first things that person who wants to purchase is going to want to know are what your real costs are to run this thing. And if you're like, well, I think I order maybe like 10 bottles a month or something, I don't really know. That doesn't look good. And
or they'll just ask you, right? If you get down to the nuts of it, they'll go, how do you know when to order? How do you order? And if
I shake the bottom. Like that's a terrible way.
But come on, most of the guys that are small, if they're in that under 10%, they're never thinking about selling out or anything like that. So
this is true.
Don't even think that far with them. It's just like,
that's true. That might be a little too far, but we'll put it this way. If you want to know the legitimacy behind the theory of how important inventory is, Walmart, okay, started by Sam Watson. I think his name's Sam Watson, when he was like 44 years old. Okay. And then he turned it into what it is today. So that first off goes to show you it's never too late to start something to be successful. Number 2 is that they invested in their own software to keep track of their inventory literally for every transaction. When something was scanned, they were the first ones to do it. It instantly updated their accounting and their inventory on hand. They were the first ones to do it for an instantaneous result. So that means everything that was getting scanned when it's going through, it automatically updated in real time across the entire stores. That's huge, and it cost them a fortune, and they wanted it right down to the penny so that they could track things in real time for profitability. Okay, now they've been, I would say, hugely successful in scaling, considering it was a company that was started when the guy was 44. So it just goes to show you the importance of inventory in general. But for me, it's always been we're always in an inventory business of some kind. We need our customers to have the inventory for us, the number of cars that we can do. At the same time, we have to have the inventory on hand for them. You need to know specifically how much you have on hand in your business at any moment so that you know your costs, so that you can plan ahead with your spending. Because let's say oh, we did really well this month, but next month, who knows? We're not sure yet. How can you plan for the future month or know if you can take out some money to, go on that vacation or something like that if you're not even sure if you're going to have enough product? So this allows you to look at those kinds of things, or maybe, hey, you know what? We have enough product on hand based on our, previous trends. We can buy that plotter that we need to do our PPF, or we can, upgrade this in the shop or something like that. You'll be able to make better business decisions. And really, with the AI doing 90% of the work for you, all you have to do is spend 1 or 2 Sundays entering in a little bit of information. And then as the AI tells you to reorder, you literally go to one page, type in whatever the product was, and so you can filter the list, and you just enter in how much just came in. That's all you have to do. And then the AI is going to take care of the rest for you. So for me, it's huge. And I see a lot of guys going in, they're saying, oh, Chat GPT, look, it wrote this article for my blog post, and they're really amped up about that, when this AI has been around before Chat GPT. And it's like, guys, you're not even entering your inventory. This is terrible. Who cares about your blog post? Like, when do you need to order ceramic coating again? You don't even know. And so that's where I highly encourage those 3%.
So that 40% that isn't using this AI, technology to help track, they're probably also the ones still taking photos for their Instagram, huh? Basically, is what you just said. Since they're trying 100%. To use the chat, you'll see those same commonalities. They're still in that mindset. Not, hey, videos. I get it. It is cool. Chat can do a blog post, and we use it. It's great, but I bet you there would be some interesting.
There's definitely some similarities. And if anyone wants to know what OrbisX thinks of your business, the AI scans your business and generates a report card. So if you go to the reports tab and then go to report card, the AI will give you a grade and tell you what you need to set up in order to improve your grade. Now, for some, a C- might hit the heart a little bit, but for others, it could really show you the difference of what you need to improve in your business.
Every time I got my grade card and I told my parents C- meant passing.
Yeah.
All you little guys, I'm out there with you, man.
Yeah, the phone book, so it doesn't leave marks. Yeah.
I'll pull it for you.
We all came from the same generation, but hey, it makes winners. But no, seriously, it's these kinds of tools that they're right in your face, they're obvious, and they're included in your OrbisX membership. Take advantage of them. I literally spent hundreds of hours coding these in to help my own shop, but then released it to you as part of OrbisX so that it can help your shop do better. And that's what OrbisX is built around, is making your shop grow and succeed. Because in business, you're never staying at a certain level. You're either contracting or you're growing. Those are the only 2 directions. And those that want to grow their business and be here 3, 4, 5, 10 years from now, you got to take advantage of these kind of tools. You got to start tracking it. And that way you'll know when you need to reorder something instead of just shaking your bottle and, thinking that it's time. You may think that, oh, well, I want to stay small, and so that's okay, but it's not in that sense, because you're going to have a more difficult time planning for the future. Because the guys that have, larger operations, things like that, like something like myself, we're not worried about that kind of thing, because I always have enough things on hand no matter what. The AI just helps me refine our process and helps me make better decisions, but we're already making the good decisions. But if I was a smaller shop, if I was a solopreneur, I would be more scared that a shop like my current shop would wipe me out. So for that reason, I would take advantage of the tools that I had at my disposal. 100%. There we go. See, did I make it through an episode without dropping tip after tip after tip, or was that's still?
You just didn't call it a tip. Let's just
call it just a tip. Okay,
you didn't call it a tip, but let's just.
I was proud of myself for a second. I thought I was like,
you were tipping out to the max.
I did okay. Yeah, I did. I do have another awesome tip, but I'm gonna save it. I will save it for next week because I think we covered some amazing ground here. So definitely check out that report card, see some things that you need to optimize in OrbisX for sure, but also make sure to set up your inventory. Even if you just say, you know what, as I run out of a product, I'm going to now add it into the inventory. So it doesn't need to be a daunting task. A lot of people look at something and they say, oh my God, there's so much I have to set up in OrbisX. No, there's not. It's by default, 90% of it's set up for you. It's just how you want to tweak
just
things.
Just pay Aaron then. If anybody complains about it, just
it's true.
Pay
Aaron, yeah, exactly. And I literally too have hired a new person on staff that can now help out with, setup and things like that. So
okay, cool.
If you need some help, just reach out. We're here to help. But I mean, if you don't ask, open mouths don't get fed. So it's that simple. If you want some help, let me know. Period. All right, man. Well, listen, all you bottle shakers, all right, go check your inventory, enter it in the system. Marty, as always, it's been a pleasure. And guys, stay tuned because in the coming weeks, there will be an integration where you can order directly from this guy here, Marty, Mr. Marshall Hill, from Hyper Clean Car Care Products. And beyond that, it will automatically sync with your inventory, assuming that you listen to this episode and actually take action. All right, guys, been a pleasure. We'll see you next week. Cheers.
Community.
I knew it. I knew you.